guys, it's Friday and this week's theme is cooking, so I'm going to show you guys how to make rainbow bread. Okay, in order to make this, you're going to need milk, 1 egg, butter, sugar. I'm using brown sugar because I'm out of white sugar. You can use white sugar instead, but you can't use Splenda for reasons I'll explain later. You're going to need flour, salt, a packet of yeast, and food coloring, at least the 3 primary colors. So I have blue, yellow, and I'm using pink instead of red because I want to do pastel colors instead of like bright neon rainbow. So you're also going to need 6 bowls to make the colors in. 3 larger ones for mixing the primary colors and 3 smaller ones just to put the balls of the other colors in it when you mix them. And a few measuring cups and a loaf pan. And if you want to make this and you don't have a loaf pan, you can roll it into a log and put it on a baking sheet, but it'll have more crust and it won't exactly be bread shaped. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is take 1 cup of milk and pour it in your bowl. Okay. Then you take your egg. You don't need the white, you just need the yolk, so I'm taking one of the bowls that I'm going to place the dough to rise in later, and I'm just going to rinse it out. So you crack your egg, and you don't need the white, you just need the yolk. So if you toss it back and forth between the eggshell like this, it gets the whites out, and then you can take your yolk, put that in the bowl. Discard this, you won't need it. Okay, I'll just leave that messy for now. Okay. Now you need a tablespoon and a half of butter. Okay, after the butter's melted, you're going to pour it into the milk and the egg. Stir it. See, and then you're going to put it in the microwave until it's warm, so about 45 to 50 seconds. Okay, now this came out of the microwave and it's nice and warm. Now it's time to add the yeast and the sugar. So, a packet of yeast, and then 2.5 tablespoons of sugar. I'm just going to roughly estimate that. It's about enough. Okay, and then stir that. The reason you need to use real sugar instead of Splenda is because the way the bread rises is the yeast are little alive thingies, and they eat the sugar and produce gas, and that's what makes it rise. And so if you use something like Splenda, then they don't eat it, and it won't rise, and I've learned that the hard way, and your bread will not turn out good at all. Okay, so after that's mixed, if you were just making regular bread, you would just add the flour and be done with it. But since we're making rainbow bread, I'm going to divide it into 3 and then add the primary colors. And the reason I'm doing it, adding the colors in now instead of later, is because it takes a really long time to knead the colors into the dough. So about 1/3 into each of these. About even. Okay. Now, I'm using gel food coloring. You can use liquid food coloring. If you have liquid food coloring, you can just drop it in, but I don't. I have the gel kind, so I have to use a knife, and then I'm just going to use this paper towel to wipe it off between colors. So there's the red. Well, pink, but you get the idea. Okay. Now to get these all good together, I'm going to whisk it. See how bright pink that's turning? That's awesome. Okay. Now into each of these, you're going to add about a cup of flour. maybe more, maybe less, depending on how the dough starts to come together. Okay. Okay, so a cup of flour, add a little bit, and stir. You're going to want to mix it in parts instead of all at once, because all at once will just make a big mess instead of turning into dough like it should. So a little bit at a time. See, it's almost there. Probably gonna add the whole cup. Okay. Once it gets to this point, you can start using your hands, if they're clean. I washed them before I started, so we're good. Okay, so there's the pink dough. And repeat this process for the other three. And you're going to want to wash your hands between it so you don't accidentally mix the colors before you want. Okay, now all three of your primary colors are done. You're going to take all 6 of your bowls. And you're going to start mixing colors to make all the colors you need. Okay. So first you take, I think you're going to take about 1/4 of this and about 1/4 of the blue. You're going to knead these together. Mixed in. It doesn't have to be perfect because it will all spread out and look nice as long as it's mostly there. See how it's purple now? You're going to take cooking spray or whatever and spray the bottom of the bowl so it doesn't stick. You're going to put it in the bowl and you're going to get a piece of plastic wrap, cover it, and let it rise. I like to put my dough in the oven, but with the oven off and just the light turned on to rise, because it makes it just warm enough to where it can rise and then it's not on the counter when I have to do other things. And it's going to have to rise for about 30-ish minutes, I think. Hold on. About an hour. It's going to rise for about an hour. See, now we leave the dough in a warm place to rise for about an hour. It's going to double in size and then you'll know it's done. I set a timer, so you can leave this and go do something else if you want to. Doesn't matter. Okay, now that all of the dough has risen, it's time to assemble it into the actual loaf. Oh, I should have sprayed the top. Okay. So to do this part, you're going to need all of the dough, of course, and water. I put it in this little random thing. A pastry brush if you have it, but if you don't have one, you can use your fingers. So you're going to take your first color, the purple one. You're going to make it into a rectangle about the same size as the bottom of your loaf pan. Okay, purple. you're going to take the water, and you're going to brush it so that the layers of dough, because you're stacking them up, so that they actually stick together instead of just making 6 different loaves of bread stacked on top of each other. Fold like so. You're going to take your loaf pan and you're going to spray it down really, really good with cooking spray so that it doesn't stick. Okay, then carefully you're going to lift this, place it in the bottom of the pan like so. So you got that. Now this needs to rise for 30 more minutes and then we're going to bake it. So it's rising in the oven now. It's going to need to stay in there for 30 minutes. This time I sprayed the top with cooking spray and then put another piece of plastic wrap over it because this time it's a lot more important that the plastic wrap doesn't stick to the top of the bread. Okay, now it's risen. See, it's like huge now. You preheat the oven to 375 degrees and then you bake it for 30 minutes. Okay. The bread has come out of the oven. I'm just going to run a knife around the outside to make sure it's all nice and loose. And I'm going to flip it onto this cutting board. By the way, I made this cutting board in wood shop in 8th grade. Let's see. Is that? Okay, now if you listen when you hit it, that's how you know it's done. If you don't want it to be crunchy on the top, I don't. I like it soft on the top. You take a little bit of butter melted and you brush it over the top. See, so now when you into it, it's a rainbow. So that's it. See you guys next week.